All right, guys, so we oftentimes talk about installing a lift kit here on the channel, but maybe a lot of folks don't actually know what that process looks like and what goes into actually taking out stock factory components and then installing your new lift kit components into your truck. So today, we're actually gonna walk you guys through that process. We've got a build back in the shop. It's a 14 to 18 GM 1500. We're putting a 6-inch rough country lift kit in it here. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna actually walk you guys through that process and show you what that truly looks like going from stock to lifted. Let's get right into it. The first thing that you're gonna wanna do when you go to install a lift kit is you're gonna wanna raise the truck up and put on either jack stands or a lift, right? And make sure that when you put that truck up in the air that you're putting those stationary points on a part of the truck that doesn't need to come off. You have to determine where you wanna start, right? You can either start in the front or the rear. Of course, the front, a little bit more difficult, more in depth, but it's the hardest part of the lift kit. So if you get that out of the way early, it's done. You don't have to worry about it. The rear, on the other hand, is actually a little bit easier, so it's gonna go a little bit quicker. Regardless of what direction you wanna go, you have to pick which one you wanna start on first. So for today's example, let's start in the back of the truck, right? So starting in the back, you're gonna wanna use an appropriate jack and, you know, put some tension on the rear axle, of course, so that way you can take the rear shocks off, right? So that way there's no pressure on them. So from there, you're gonna wanna unplug and remove all the wiring and any brake line brackets, you know, that are on the rear axle there as well. So you can create some slack in those cables and stuff, so that way you can bring the rear axle down, right? Next step then is removing the U-bolts from one side of the axle and then loosening the other. Pro tip here, only do one side at a time. Don't pull both sides off at the same time because you're gonna have to balance that axle up on top of that jack, trying to make sure that you can hold it steady. Bring the axle down just a little bit, right? That's gonna create that room for your lift block if that's what you're installing, and then you remove your factory block if you happen to have one. Some kits here are actually gonna reuse that factory block, so make sure you pay attention to your instructions. Put your U-bolts on and then run the nuts up, snug her up tight, right? So now you have one side done, the other side is loose. So really, it's just rinse and repeat on the other side, right? Drop the U-bolts, bring the axle down a little bit, take the block out if you need to remove it, put the new block in, put the U-bolts back on, and then zipper back up tight, right? Get everything nice and snug up there with your U-bolts. Next step there is gonna be to install your new rear shocks. Now this one goes pretty simple, right? Line up the bolt holes, put the bolts in. Just tie everything up, tidy it up, make sure nothing's hanging down, nothing's out of the way, and you're done with the rear. 50% hypothetically of your lift kit is done. However, this is where it gets a little bit more intense. Looking back up front then, first step you're gonna wanna do is unplug all of your wiring and disconnect your brake line brackets from the frame, from the knuckle, etc., right? We wanna get those free so everything's kind of out of the way. Next step here is gonna be remove your tie rod end from the knuckle. Pretty simple, zip it out of there. Pop it up, might need a little hammer action to get it out of there. Next step is to remove your brake calipers, take them off the brackets and then hang them out of the way. A pro tip here is nice heavy duty piece of metal or a coat hanger or something. The goal is to support that brake caliper so it's not hanging on that line. You're not stretching out your brake line in any kind. Next step then is to remove the CV axle nut. Now this is a 4-wheel drive truck only thing, right? So if you don't have a 4-wheel drive truck, then you don't worry about it. Once you get that nut off of the upper ball joint, right, you can just take a hammer and beat the piss out of the knuckle, and usually that'll pop that upper ball joint out and you should be good. From there, you're gonna wanna loosen that lower control arm nut, but you know, keep it threaded a couple of turns. This will come into play in just a moment here, because the next step is to strike the knuckle to dislodge that lower ball joint, right? And this is where keeping that nut on is gonna save you from that whole knuckle assembly just falling on the ground. Banker's done this once or twice in his life, so you know, there's a couple of pro tips here along the way that we'll probably pick up. They're gonna help. Once you've got that done, support the knuckle, pull the nut off the bottom, and then you can take that whole knuckle assembly right out of the vehicle. From there, you can get in there and remove your CV axles, right? Usually on these trucks, it's I believe 6 bolts that they come right out. And then you can take your strut out as well, take your lower control arm out, and you're right as rain. You've got it pretty well tore apart. A couple other things you wanna do here is disconnect any wiring, the steering shaft, things like that, and then remove the steering rack from the vehicle. Again, this is GM specific. Next step is gonna be to disconnect any wiring and the vent hosing from that front differential, right? Because you gotta get that out of there as well. You're gonna wanna disconnect that before you go to drop it so that way you don't have to worry about it. Support that front diff from the bottom, preferably with the help of at least one other person because they kind of sit a little funky and they like to tip. And then bring that differential down out of the truck, unbolt it, get it out of the way. This is where things get a little bit spicy depending on the truck that you're building. But in the case of this truck, you're gonna wanna cut the frame and then, notch that diff to make sure that you can make room for that front diff relocation bracket. From there, you pretty much start doing everything in reverse. You start by installing the steering rack, and then your diff drop brackets go in, and you can reinstall your front diff and your drive shaft, right? And same the way you took them apart, you just bolt them back up. And then it kind of just works your way back from there. You've got the cross member drop brackets that go in, you've got the lower control arms that go in, and then of course the skid plates, if your truck has skid plates on them, of course. Next thing is gonna be installing the spacers on the strut or the new strut assembly if your truck comes with that. And then you're gonna wanna turn your attention back to the diff mount where you tighten all of that up and then tighten all the cross members and leave your lower control arms loose here, because the next step is installing those wheel bearings in the new knuckles, and then trimming the dust shield if you need to, because sometimes those dust shields maybe don't fit quite like they're supposed to. From there, install your CV axles, right? Same thing, bolt them up, slide them through, put the old nuts on. Next step is install that knuckle assembly on the vehicle, tighten up those upper and lower ball joints and the CV nut, and of course install the sway bar drop bracket, the sway bar, and the end links. These you can crank tight. Now from there, the next step is to remove your stock tie rod ends and trim or install the new ones, right? But don't hook them up to that knuckle yet. Next is to reinstall those brakes and the calipers. And now is a good time, if you haven't yet, to look at them and replace them if you need to replace your pads or rotors or upgrade them, right? Because there's no better time to put in a big brake kit than when you're actually tearing everything apart. Make sure you torque them correctly, because if you don't, your caliper bolts will walk out backwards and then you'll blow a caliper like Jerry did mobbing down the road. It's not a good time. Okay, now you can install that tie rod into your knuckle and tighten that guy up. And then from there, install things like your brake lines and your wiring brackets, and then route them as necessary. Make sure that you zip ties are your friend here, right? You zip tie everything up, get it out of the way, make sure everything looks good. If you need to do trimming because of bigger wheels and tires, now is the time to do it. We're talking Norcal mod, and it's not easier at any other time than this point right here. Get that fender taken care of, get it out of the way, make sure you got room for those bigger wheels and tires, and then install your wheel and tire package, right? Put it all in there, get her set to go, put the truck on the ground, torque the lug nuts up, make sure everything's good. And from there, you should be set. Now, a couple things that you still have to do. You wanna send the truck, have it aligned, right? Make sure it's tracking true down the road. You're not gonna chew your tires up. And when you get back, give it a final over to just make sure you didn't miss anything along the way, because regardless of how many of these you've done and how good you are, there's still a chance that you missed something. And once you're done, wash it up, make it look good, take it out, take some photos, and of course, add your truck to the gallery at customoffsets.com/add, so that way you can help other enthusiasts know exactly what it looks like on their truck. There you have it, guys. There is the install of a 6-inch rough country lift kit on a 14 to 18 Silverado. Let us know what you guys think of the video. Drop a comment down below. And as always, if you guys need a rough country lift kit for your truck, you can check those out at customoffsets.com. With that, I'm Dustin. We'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.